Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Azeroth Daily for the 23rd of Feb 2011. My name is TotalBiscuit, bringing you your daily dose of WoW news and comment. In the headlines today, the latest round of hotfixes has been released, and it's the hunters who are getting a little bit of the nerf back right here. Aim shot damage has been decreased to approximately 160% of weapon damage, level 80 plus, down from 200. However, Aspect of the Hawk now provides 2000 attack power at level 85. There's also been a quick fix to the Throne of the Four Winds, whereby the Catchfall aura is now removed whenever a player leaves the dungeon. Aside from that, that is pretty much it, and there'll be a little bit of discussion on the hunter changes in the Daily Blues. The Blizzard art gallery has been updated with 3 new pieces, and my personal favourite is going to be this one, which is simply entitled The Boneyard. Excellent stuff indeed, and as you might imagine, they're all available in rather large format, so they are very much suitable for wallpapers. Also, might I point out that the orc in the bowler hat looks worryingly like a predator. Look at the mouth. Yes, that's kind of scary. I'm noticing the plasma cannon on his shoulder right now. Terrifying. The latest round of EU community news has been released as well, talking about the English site Mindflame in regards to their discussion about changes within the machinima community, and the Polish site worldofwarcraft.pl is featuring 3 awesome machinima as well. All this, the roundup of this week's comics and worthwhile forum threads, to be found in the description below this video. I'd also like to point out that Optec has released a new guide for Warlocks in 4.0.6, and you can find that also in the description below this video. Well worth checking out. He's the guy that helped me do the Warlock guides in the Cataclysm beta, so very, very cool. Go have a look at that if you have any interest in the way that Warlocks are currently functioning. And with that, it's time for your Daily Blues. Naughty Pally has indeed been just that, with the umpteenth request for a classic WoW realm. Apparently he is a unique and beautiful snowflake and can leave requests that would otherwise get people's threads locked. And a reminder from vaneras that this has been addressed about 5,000 times before, and while they are aware that some people prefer the old pre-expansion content over the new, they have absolutely no plans to open any classic realms at this time. They also believe that some people would like to revel in nostalgia, but the developers are planning to keep the game moving forward instead. They remind you that they regularly see requests for this, and quite frankly, it is not welcome because it simply clogs up the forums with garbage. Cat Scratchers starts a discussion on the subject of the February 18th Hunter hotfixes, which have now only just been implemented, I believe, yesterday. So there's a rather long thread on this particular topic that's going to be of note to any hunters who are currently playing, and there's been a response from daxxari, who indicates the design philosophy behind those changes. And just to sort of clarify it in a very small manner, it's to maintain the PvE DPS of marksmanship hunters while increasing the overall DPS of the other 2 specs, and reduce the burst capability of marksmanship hunters in PvP, which was apparently higher than they would have liked. Obviously, I don't know much about hunters, so I would recommend that you go and read that post. It is very illuminating, or at least I assume that it is. What I do know about, of course, is mages, and Curb starts a discussion on the subject of ignite munching, which is the idea of multiple crits actually replacing ignites as opposed to rolling them all into one, which is not so good, honestly. It's been a problem for quite some time, ever since rolling ignites were removed a very long time ago. And Bashiok responds that the design of ignite doesn't actually allow them to resolve that, and they're looking at a solution that would actually change the way that Ignite works in a fairly significant manner. However, they're not comfortable with hotfixing something like that, so we shouldn't expect it before the next major patch. Toden complains about the wait times on petitions at the moment and asks if there is any way to weed out the frivolous petitions that are indeed wasting his time and preventing his mightily important petition from getting to the front. And Vrakthis, one of the support forum agents, responds by saying that they are hired to address all petitions, not just some of them, and while they would encourage players to only submit petitions they can actually assist with, they cannot stop them, unless, of course, there is blatant abuse of the the petition system. So as it stands, you're simply just going to have to wait, and there are other ways of contacting Blizzard if you have any major issues, including, of course, the phone lines and by email through the web form. And with that, it's time for your daily grind. This is to follow up on the one that we started 2 days ago, which is in Felwood, which is a fairly lore-heavy quest, throwing us all the way back to Warcraft 3. And in this one, we see a scene of Illidan acquiring the Skull of Gul'dan, which is, of course, the way that he managed to gain all that demonic power and eventually become corrupted in the first place. For some reason, we have to help him kill a few trifling demons. I don't know why. He claims they're so incredibly easy, but evidently not. They are in need of a little bit of ice lancing. And with that, it's time for your weekly feature. This is the Court of Law. Now, we're going to start a new series. We've covered all of the major cataclysm zones, all 5 of them in fact, and now we're looking into the capital cities and the history of them, and we're going to start off with Orgrimmar. Orgrimmar is the main capital city of the Horde, and home to the orcs rallied under the banner of Thrall and now Garrosh Hellscream. The city was founded by Thrall himself and named after the former warchief Orgrim Doomhammer. The mountains of the surrounding Durotar ensure that the city is well fortified and difficult to attack. It is believed to have a population of around 15,000, the majority of whom are orcish. Despite the city population being predominantly orcish, a significant troll presence has, until recently, existed within the city, situated primarily in the Valley of Spirits. Recent friction between the troll leader Vol'jin and the new warchief Garrosh Hellscream caused many of the trolls to relocate to the now reclaimed Echo Isles. With the recent addition of the goblins to the Horde ranks, a slum area has been created, or should I say, colonized by the small green creatures. Orgrimmar was initially constructed in a hasty manner with the help of the half-orc, half-ogre Rexxar and groups of goblins, trolls, and tauren. Until recently, much of the city structures have appeared shambolic and improvised in nature. After the Cataclysm, Garrosh, now warchief after Thrall left to travel to the Maelstrom, ordered massive rebuilding and refortification works to be carried out. The walls and many of the structures within Orgrimmar are now sheathed in steel after their initial wooden forms suffered terrible fire damage in the wake of the elemental invasion. The Zeppelin Towers, hubs of intercontinental travel, have been relocated to more defensible positions inside the city itself, and a more direct route to Ashara, which is now the stage for huge horde mining and quarry operations, has been carved through the mountain by the goblins, adding a third entrance to Orgrimmar. While Thrall held court in his fortress inside the Valley of Wisdom, Garrosh ordered a new fortress built in the center of Orgrimmar, inside the Valley of Strength, in order to inspire loyalty and show who was in charge. The Valley of Wisdom now has a new purpose as a home to various displaced tauren, trainers, and an additional auction house and inn to deal with the frequent congestion within the busy Valley of Strength. While Durotar remains firmly in the hands of the Horde, ensuring that Orgrimmar is well protected, elements of the Alliance still remain within Tiragard Keep, and a severe encroachment in the Northern Barrens puts Orgrimmar under potential threat once more. And with that, it's time for the mailbox. This one comes in from Anonymous, indeed, who says, "Well, I want to point out something very strange about how I've been playing the game. I started WoW shortly after the launch of the Burning Crusade and played it with great addiction. I started with some random classes and whatever, but I never got to the higher level content, at 45 plus, because either I was really bored with that character or I'm an alcoholic. Whatever the case, I always found myself playing a warrior or shaman in the end, and I say always because something would happen every now and again, and then something would happen that would mean that my account or computer busted, so I had to start over. I've been playing since then with breaks in between, of course, because WoW is very boring without breaks. Couldn't agree more. Anyway, here I am 5 years later, still playing warrior, and I'm concerned that my skill has not increased at all. I don't know if this is true. I don't consider myself a cut above the rest, and I try my best in PvE content, but I just don't think I'm that good. Is this common? How can I cope with this, and what are your thoughts?" Well, to me, it seems like judging whether or not you're good would be based on what you are able to accomplish in terms of PvE content. You're saying that you never got to the higher level content. Well, that's problematic because really that's where the game starts. I'd say that that's less of the case now that Cataclysm is out, admittedly, so don't go absolutely crazy thinking that everything is at endgame, because now it really isn't. 1 to 60 is equally enjoyable, but the real tests of whether or not you actually know your class come at level 85, with either PvP at max level or PvE at max level. So you're never really going to know until you actually make that big push all the way through to 85. And if you're having problems getting above 45, then That just indicates to me either you've been extremely unlucky or you find questing boring, which to me seems like a massive problem for you. If anything, maybe I just push through to 55 and then maybe roll up a Death Knight, and it's very easy to get to 60 with a Death Knight, or indeed 58. You can then go straight to the Outlands, do the content that apparently you've never done before, and trust me, the Outlands is very cool if you've never been there. I don't know what your current level character is, because you weren't specific, but you did say you can't get your characters above 45 plus. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, honestly. It just seems like you're very bored with World of Warcraft, and you've never been able to make that push through to the max level. You might want to try another game. There's no harm in it. Considering the number of breaks you're taking, it does seem like maybe another game would be more enjoyable, in which case may I suggest stuff like DDO. You know, Dungeons & Dragons Online is very good and also very different, and you can have good fun, good challenging fun at all levels. Something like DC Universe Online is sufficiently different. Give them a bash. DDO's free, so you might as well give it a try. Yes, I know, I'm advising someone to play a different game on a World of Warcraft show, and you want to know why I'm doing that? Because variety is the spice of life, folks, and trust me, variety in your gaming will make you appreciate those individual games a whole lot more. If all I played was WoW, I think I'd simply come to despise it. This one comes in from Fast Fingers, who says, I've been playing since the end of TBC and have done quite a few raids. During all these raids, I found one common factor in all of them, that they tend to favor range DPS. Normally this wouldn't bother me, as the favoring was quite low, however with Cataclysm, this imbalance seems to have gotten bigger to the point where you can't have a melee-centered raid because of the risk of wiping. However, a raid can go full range and still doesn't have problems, assuming of course they're competent. For example, in Magmor, if range isn't enough, wipe is sure. Am I exaggerating, or has Blizz unintentionally made raids more challenging for melees? What are your opinions on this? Well, I think they have made it unintentionally more difficult. You want to know why I think that? Because it's very difficult not to. For instance, if you say, oh, well, you know, everyone outside of a 5-yard radius is going to be affected by these abilities, then you move everyone inside the 5-yard radius. Unless you have some really gimmicky mechanic where using range within 5 yards does damage to you or something, you can't prevent people from just stacking up inside the safe zone. Always, melee are going to be subject to a lot of different things, like the inability to see what the hell's going on. I mean, as a ranged DPS, you can zoom all the way out and have a good view of the battlefield, and have significantly more situational awareness than a guy who's stuck up the ass of whatever boss you're trying to fight. I don't think there's any way to actually fix that, and therein lies the problem. I think the only thing you could maybe then do is to actually give melee the dominance in terms of the amount of damage that they do, but then you potentially have the opposite problem, where in higher end guilds, where dodging mechanics and stuff becomes less of an issue because people are more skilled, then you're not going to have as many ranged DPS. They're all going to stack melee because they can do more damage. So it's really hard to balance, if I'm totally honest, and I actually can't see a solution to it, which I think is why there hasn't really been one for the last 6 years in terms of raiding, and things are always maybe going to be a little bit more challenging for melee than they will be for ranged. Okay, folks, thanks a lot for watching Azeroth Daily today. As always, you've been a fantastic audience. I will be back the same time tomorrow. Bear in mind, there will not be an Azeroth Daily on Friday because I'm having a weekend away, so I'm not going to be there. I will post the Magicka videos and maybe a bit of StarCraft, stuff that I've already pre-recorded, but there won't be an Azeroth Daily on that day yet. The postcards from Azeroth will be done on the Monday instead, as part of a double feature. Please remember to thumb this video up if you like it, and thumb it down if you don't, and I'll see you next time.